Hello and welcome to Walford Weekly, your EastEnders podcast, discussing the episodes broadcast in the UK between the 4th and the 8th of January 2021 on the BBC. My name is Rob, one half of the hosting team, and this week, listeners, a surprise for both me and you. Alex is working today, so we have, instead of him, the wonderful, normally absent, Ben. Hi, Ben.
Hello, Rob. Hello. Thank you.
How are you?
Yes, good, thanks. I've axed Alex. He's gone.
He's axed.
Yeah.
You're doing a Kate Oates on him,
Big decision.
He's been recast.
No, I thought I'd be nice and just step in his shoes for a bit and let him have a little rest.
Oh,
he's
that's
working,
nice.
busy at work, you see.
Is he? Oh,
So-
busy being a key worker. It's quite funny because I was saying to Ben before the show started that normally I don't have to really do that much, and then I was sat there on the sofa being all smug about it, thinking, "Oh, that's all right. Alex can sort it all out this week. I don't even have to do the game." And then Ben messages me saying, "Alex can't do this week. Will you sort everything out this week?" Yeah, fine, absolutely fine.
Yeah, I'm not doing nothing.
No, Ben's
I'm just turning up for the award.
Resting on your laurels. So, Ben, a busy week in Walford this week, wasn't it?
It was really busy, actually. Yeah, when I've been trying to think of what's happened, like, a lot has been going on.
Yeah, I realised that when I was doing the notes for this week. many stories.
But it's good. I mean, normally January is quite a busy month because we've got the aftermath of Christmas and everything. But yeah, there's loads, and it's a good range of characters as well. There's lots going on.
Exactly, so let's crack on. We will start this week's discussion with Kush, Ruby, Stacey and Martin. Now, when we last joined for Slaters, Kush had stolen Arthur away, taking him to some posh hotel paid for by Ruby. And this week, all of the Slaters are fretting, now they've finally realised that Arthur's missing. except Mo, who I'm presuming is still hungover upstairs.
I know, bless her.
Arthur rings Stacey on Kush's phone and reveals that they're going on a plane. Stacey's horrified. So she goes with Kat to Gray for advice, and Whitney's there. So Whitney ends up getting involved in the storyline, which is nice. Haven't seen much of Whitney recently. What do you think? I mean, what do you think is actually going through Kush's mind at this stage? Is he doing anything remotely sensible whatsoever? Or
I know, it's all very muddled, isn't it? I mean, it's hard to keep up with this, because the story beats on this thing is just, it goes like from one thing to the other so quickly, like from the car heist to him running away under Ruby's commands and asking Whitney for money as well. Where's this money come from?
When does Whitney have any money whatsoever
Has
for
she
anything?
ever worked? No.
No, she's not even on the market, on her own little marketplace recently, is she?
So it's all very bizarre, and the stuff with Ruby as well is all very strange. Like the way Martin's reacting to her I felt was a bit odd at the end of the week as well. How he doesn't seem to. You know, he married her, 2 months ago, was it? About that?
Something like that.
Because of the love of his life. And now he's sort of avoiding her at any cost and would rather hang out with Sonia. So,
I mean, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't rather hang out with Queen Sonia of the NHS? I mean, the thing is, I think with the whole thing with Ruby, me and Alex were discussing this like last week or the week before. I do not think that it's anything to do with Martin per se. I think once Ruby has got Martin to herself, she get bored really quickly. So all of this that she's doing, trying to get Kush away and all that kind of thing, I still feel is all to do with getting back at Stacey.
Oh, do you think it's all because they used to be such good friends, didn't they? And now,
yeah, which is it's a shame they haven't still got that friendship. But I don't know. It's just I feel that Ruby's just kind of acting on instinct and trying to make things happen to the Slaters without really thinking of the consequences. And she seemed to think that her role in all of this would be as some saviour, that she'd get everything fine and everyone would realise what a hero she was, and Martin would realise how lucky she was to be with her and would instantly give her a baby.
Which he normally does, to be fair, to most of his wives. There's normally a baby quite instantly with old Martin.
Yeah,
and his strong Fowler genes.
I mean, yeah, it literally is Martin Fowler five a day, isn't it? 5 a year, 5 kids a year. So yeah, as we said, Whitney has been called by Kush, and Whitney goes to the posh hotel that Kush and Arthur are staying in, and basically quite quickly persuades him to bring Arthur back to Walford. The second he returns, Kat slaps him, which is always nice. We don't get many slaps these days.
No, especially a social distance one. I
know, and I think it looked alright, didn't it? It didn't look any less normal than any other slap the Kat's ever given. It was a backhander as well. It must have stung.
It was better than the Ben and Callum kiss that they attempted at the end of the week. That was a bit
and
dodgy.
the Sharon and Ian kiss in the Vic as well.
Oh yeah.
I do. It's so bless them for trying with all these kisses, but it's kind of like, okay, we get it.
Yeah, it's fun to try and work it out though.
So Kush returns to the square, is slapped by Kat, and then it's quite quick after that Kat basically breaks up with Kush. Understandably, I guess, because he did just kidnap her, Stacey's kid. So it's kind of like, is that the end of the road for Kat and Kush now? Are they done?
Yeah, it was all done quite quickly, wasn't it? Their breakup. But I don't know. I mean, Stacey, I was sitting there on my high horse thinking, well, Stacey did this a few months ago, so they should understand. Because she disappeared, didn't she, when she hit Phil over the head? But Stacey did say that to Kat a bit later on. So
yeah, well, that's maybe why Stacey is a bit more sympathetic with Kush later on when she's talking to Martin and saying, well, I kind of get it. I can see how someone's life might unravel to the stage where they could do something stupid. We've all been there.
Especially Stacey.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Stacey, the queen of unraveling. Which is great, considering that Kush ends up living with Ruby and Martin and basically telling Ruby, well, if you don't give me somewhere to stay, I'm going to tell Martin what your role was in all of this. And Ruby's not really left with a huge amount of choice. And again, I think she spends the week just sort of being pushed away and pushed, like, you know, made to like step aside whilst everybody else deals with everything. And she just ends up feeling pretty sort of left out and unimportant in the whole situation, doesn't she?
Yeah, I mean, especially by Martin as well. Like I said, like they're meant to be newlyweds. They're meant to be at the happiest point of their relationship. But he really is like trying to forget Ruby and pushing her away as much. And it does seem a bit unfair. To poor Ruby. But there's been a lot of character blackmailing and threatening this week, I find, like with Ruby and Kush threatening each other, and Lucas and Chelsea, and
it's the theme
all
of the
sorts
week
going on. They're all acting very mean spirited in January.
Yes.
So the January blues are hitting
hardcore, more so than they normally would.
But I mean, Ruby's come up with her plan, I guess, of saying she's pregnant. Whether we believe she is pregnant or not, I'm not too sure. No. And obviously, Kush is now single. Are we gonna eventually come up with this thing where she asks Kush to make her pregnant
to give her child, to put her in child mode?
They would go down?
I mean, I think that Kush would have to do something else before he'd be put in that situation, because like you say, it's all about the blackmailing thing, which is the only reason that Kush was able to stay at Ruby and Martin's anyway. So it's kind of like, I don't think Ruby, now everything's out in the open about him stealing Arthur and all that kind of thing, Ruby's got more to hide than Kush has at this stage.
That's true. I mean, is he still off to prison, Kush?
Well, this is an excellent thing, because he did sort of sort out with the police, he sort of haggled with him about when he was going to get arrested so that he could spend Christmas with the kids, and then sort of ran off with the kids. So I don't know whether he's
all very relaxed about his
impending doom. From what he was saying to Whitney, it sounded like, if I do anything else wrong, I'm going to prison. Whereas when we kind of last dealt with Kush's illegal activity, he was on the verge of going to prison and doing this deal with Phil and taking the blame for Phil in exchange for the Slater's protection and all of this kind of thing. So I don't know. He's
now separated from Kat, so is he still going to do this?
Or are we ever going to hear that side of a story ever again?
Yeah, because obviously his exit is, I'm guessing it's coming soonish, but it's just trying to work out how. Because we thought, oh, maybe it was him going to prison and taking on for the Slaters, but obviously now they're not in the picture together. I'm wondering what the next part of his exit is going to be.
Well, now, see, we've been talking, there's been sort of wildly rumoured, nothing solid or anything like that, but it's been sort of wildly rumoured for a while that they're heading towards some really intense sort of male suicide, mental health thing with Kush. But I feel like now there's been, you know, we've had the stuff with Mick over New Year.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, there's been a lot of stuff about mental health and suicide in EastEnders recently, so it's kind of like, are they going to go there again?
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what made me think, oh, maybe that's not the end they've got for Kush.
I mean, I hope not. I hope it's not the end they've got planned for Kush, because I don't, you know, because Kush, I like Kush, and I'd like him to sort of have the chance to come back again, but who knows? I mean, but yeah, so regards to Ruby's pregnancy, are we both thinking she ain't pregnant?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
No, she ain't pregnant. She looked terrified at the idea. Not as horrified as Martin looked at her. What, child number 9, something crazy like that.
But I am interested to see how far she's going to take this lie. Like, is she going to try and still get pregnant by Martin?
Is she going to start sticking balloons up her top?
Is she going to go online and buy pregnancy bumps like each month? And
taking note of
wardrobe?
She's going to look online and see what Lacey Turner had to go through every time she was pregnant.
So that is interesting because we do know Ruby has that ruthless sort of side to her at the moment, where she's desperate to keep her Martin close. Which... Yeah,
it's the spirit of Johnny Allen kind of overtakes her every now and again.
Martin just seems very disinterested. Like when she phoned him and he just held his phone up to Sonia and was like, "Oh, her," and then she met him at the train station as well.
Yeah.
And he wanted to go get the food himself and not with her. So yeah, he's been a bit mean. So I am still on Ruby's side for now.
Team Ruby. I think that it's. I kind of sensed last week that it was going to start going down this way. I don't think there's any way that she is pregnant. I'm quite interested to see, like you say, how far she's going to go with this and how long it's going to go on for. 9 months. Here's hoping. It was when she keeps putting things up her top. She gets to a stage where she sticks like a globe underneath her and she's walking around. I can't work today. I'm too pregnant. I'm sorry.
I mean, Abby Branning tried this, didn't she, a few years ago with Ben?
Yes.
And she
hasn't got Aunt Babe's help.
No, and she ended up stripped off in front of the Vic, didn't she?
Yeah.
In her bra and knickers. So, I'll be interested to see where Ruby goes, and if she's more cunning and ruthless than what Abby was, will she be able to string the lie out long enough?
I mean, I'd argue that Ruby's got more experience, because, being Johnny Allen's daughter, as we're constantly reminded.
Yeah.
There's the staring at her photo, and you can feel the spirits of the Allen family running through her eyes.
That's true. I saw on Twitter the actor who played him is watching EastEnders at the moment because his daughter.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he keeps tweeting about Ruby and saying how proud he is of her.
Oh,
so Johnny Allen's proud, looking down at his successful daughter.
Yeah, exactly. I could see him just appearing in the clouds over Walford at one point, just his face like the Lion King. So I think we move on now to Gray and Tina. Well, not so much Tina, but Gray and him basically trying to sweep up any sort of residue left from the mess that he's creating for himself. Of Tina, cleaning up the essence of Tina from around the square. Basically, this week, the whole thing with Gray, it's not a massive story this week, but it's more about the kids kind of coming back to Gray's house and coming back under Gray's care after he went slightly mad and tried to blow up the house, which still now, if Tina's out the picture, Shirley is the only one who knows about any of that.
Yeah, of course, because Karen's none the wiser, really, is she?
Well, she rarely is about anything, let's be fair.
Although she was suspicious with the way that he ate his potato smile.
Yes.
She did look at him like,
That was an aggressive way to eat a potato smile. Yeah, but she's pretty devastated to return the kids to Gray. As you can understand, I wasn't aware that she'd had the kids this long. I mean, how long has it been now? Like, she's had them a good, 2-3 months or something.
Yeah, I know. I
thought
it was just every now and then to help him.
Yeah.
No, it's been like a permanent thing, hasn't it? Bailey also returned. We had another returning
Yes!
character.
That was a surprise, wasn't it? I wasn't expecting to see Bailey back. God, she's grown, hasn't she?
She has new hair.
A new hair. I didn't recognise her at first, and then she started talking. I was like, oh, it's Bailey.
Yeah, that's her.
There she is. She's back. Rah. And all that really happens this week is Karen offers to help Gray with childcare, and Gray's like, no, I'm fine, thanks. You've got enough on your plate, and it's kind of like, oh dear.
Yeah, I can't stand you around me too long. But Karen's made all the plans already, and she I think, did she say she'd already told the kids before she said no as well? So.
Yeah, as she would. I mean, the thing is with Karen and Gray, it's kind of like, well, the only reason that Gray ever tolerated someone like Karen in his life whatsoever was because of Chantel. And now Chantel has been dishwashered. There's no reason for Gray to put up with Karen
family,
or any of them at all, any of the Taylors whatsoever. He could move away with the kids. That's what I'd do if I was Gray.
Yeah, because it was all a bit suspicious when he moved near them. I thought, why has he chosen to do this? But obviously he was trying to make up for something he did to Chantel before they appeared on screen, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, all the kids missed Tina, which was quite funny. I thought, have they ever met Tina? I don't know.
Well, I don't know, but you can totally imagine Tina being like this sort of mad, cool aunt that they had that would literally sit and watch CBeebies with them and probably enjoy it as well.
Yeah, she is 6 going on 45.
40, yeah, exactly.
R.I.P. Tina.
Yeah, well, so now, I haven't had a chance to speak to you about this. Do you believe her to be dead?
I've gone through the 7 stages of grief, trying to work out
Yeah.
if it's true or not. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't at first, and I thought they're doing a bit because there was loads of interviews and
it was overkill, I thought.
Yeah, and Simon Ashdown was like, "I've written your last ever words," and they a few days later, the actress of Tina posted a photo of her holding up a written note saying how much she missed Tina and stuff. And I thought, are they doing this as a fake out? She's going to appear in a few months, and it was all a big thing. But
Mm.
I don't know. The more I think about it, is like I can't work out why he would not kill her. Like, what would he gain from keeping her alive? That's what I can't work out.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but I can just kind of like there was like when the episode that she was apparently killed and wrapped up like a Subway sandwich. She was sort of like there was all sorts of weird things like the blanket in the back of the car. It's like, well, what was that about?
Yeah,
that's supposed to mean something.
Yeah, like could she open it because it wasn't completely shut properly or something? But he went back to the Vic and said, "Oh yeah, she's gone for good." So you imagine he's dealt with the body, but the same thing happened with Stuart and the police.
Yeah, exactly.
Guy. So I don't know. I just don't know where would he keep her, in the basement of?
Oh well, there's plenty of warehouses and cellars around
That's
around the boroughs of London that always get used by the cast of EastEnders. I'm sure there's one going spare. You know, Phil's not locked anybody up in a warehouse for a while, so he could use Phil's.
Yeah, I mean, I would be happier if she wasn't dead.
Yes, so would I. I think it would be a pretty harsh ending for the character.
I
don't know. It feels like there's some sort of kind of Kate Oates fake out coming.
There's going to be some sort of twist, whether it comes out and it gets twisted to another story, like the Lucas story, and he gets blamed. Like, I don't know. There's loads of things.
Yeah, maybe
could go to, but no, I'd prefer her not to be dead, obviously. But I don't know. The longer it's gone on, I'm like they like to put in little foreshadowing bits in the script, and I've heard none of that.
I don't know though. I thought
dead to me.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but in terms of the foreshadowing things, I thought there was a little bit of that when Shirley was kind of saying she always rings me, always, she always gets in touch, always. I just thought there was, I know there's like the sign of like, oh, well, that's just somebody thinking that Tina's still alive, but on the other end of things, it's kind of like, well, you know, she might do. Do you know what I mean? I think Tina might still be the one that ends up bringing Gray down ultimately. I don't know.
Yeah, because if it's not Tina, I don't know how it's going to
Yeah, who else is it going to be, apart from maybe Shirley, when he tries to blow her up again or something?
I mean, I suppose Karen should be the one to do it, but whether she's got the intelligence of a character to do that, I don't know.
Well, yeah, how rubbish would Gray have to get for Karen to work out what's going on?
As long as it's not Mitch that ends up being the hero, I'm okay.
Or Bailey. It's going to be Bailey that works everything out.
She works quite a bit, doesn't she?
She does. She's just going to walk in one day and be like, how are you missing all of this? He's clearly killed Chantal. He's clearly killed Tina. Right, you sort that out. I'm going to go stand on the roof with my telescope.
She'll probably find the Tina that Tina necklace is going to be the key to
the $14.99 Tina necklace.
That's going to be the key because didn't Tina make a point of saying to Shirley, "Oh, I'll always wear this." Like she made a point of saying something like that, didn't she? So yeah, maybe Bailey will look through the things and find Gray's got like a keepsake of all his victims or something, and maybe it'll come out that way.
Bailey, Miss Marple Taylor. Yeah, I think that's probably
happening.
Yes, good shout. So we move on now to Ian and Sharon. Probably one of the most insane stories EastEnders has ever done, and probably ever will do. It's nuts, this story, especially this week. It's absolutely nuts. So essentially, what is going on this week is Sharon realising that nobody in the square believes that these two are hopelessly in love with each other. Nobody in the square has any idea why they've got married. No. And everybody is sort of noticing that Ian is looking unwell and
like obviously unwell as well. It's not
obviously, but the thing that really confuses me is why absolutely nobody has questioned the possibility that Ian might have COVID, and why hasn't Sharon used COVID as a thing of why he's looking so ill? Because that would be the perfect thing to keep people away from the Vic, like saying, "Oh well, Ian's got COVID, so nobody come in. I've got to close the pub, and I can just get on with poisoning Ian with no worries of anybody." And then when he dies, people are just going to think that he's died from COVID. It seems like a pretty simple cover story. Like they've got a world pandemic helping Queen Sharon out, and she's not taking advantage of it.
I know. I thought the exact same thing when he started being ill. I thought just use that as a way to keep him bedridden for 2 weeks. It makes most sense, but the whole COVID situation is a bit odd in Walford, which I think we'll talk about a bit later. Sonia's storyline, because someone has requested us to discuss it, so we shall. We shall obey.
Always happy to discuss COVID. It's not in the news enough.
No, I haven't heard enough about it yet.
No.
But yeah, I mean, every week I think, how much lower can Sharon get? Being one of my favourite characters before, I'm just thinking, I'm starting to not root for you, Sharon. I'm sorry. But, I mean, the stuff with Jean's medication was really...
That was nuts. I don't even understand why she did that. Because we don't know, and we've never have known what exactly she's giving him. I assumed it was just tablets of any form, description,
pills.
Anything that she could get hold on, paracetamol, ibuprofen, Zapane, Viagra, anything that she could get hold of about Sharon's Viagra
she's
collection.
sticking away from. She doesn't want Ian getting any ideas.
Sharon has never needed Viagra. No man has any difficulty getting excited when Sharon's on the scene. Just ask Keanu.
Yeah.
But she can't. So what? She runs out of tablets that she was using, and instead of thinking, right, I'll tell you what, I'll just go to the shop, get myself some a collection of paracetamol and ibuprofen. That'll keep me going until Phil can get me some better tablets. Who has medication? I know, Jean. I'll go steal Jean's bipolar medication and then stick it in Ian's coffee. It's like, what?
And it's just so mean because she knows that Jean's had cancer last year. She knows that Jean's love of her life, Daniel, died recently. She knows that she had an episode recently when Kush and Shirley was messing with her medication. It's so mean-spirited of Sharon.
It just made no sense whatsoever. Out of it, I need medication. Jean! It's like the first thought that came to her mind. I'll go and steal the bipolar woman across the road's medication, stick in Ian's coffee.
And it's
mad.
Yeah, it's such a bad image because when she heard that Tina's getting done for it, she was like, oh, okay, that's me clear then. So she doesn't is that on her conscience that someone's going to prison because of her? I know she's done that in the past with Max, so maybe you can accept that. But then knowing that she's purposely going to mess up Jean's life possibly for this, it's and then working with Phil as well, which really irritates me because Phil sunk the boat.
Yeah, I know. This is the thing. Phil,
why
Phil's
are you on
involvement.
Phil's side but not Ian's side?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
so
kind of
messy.
It's like Phil's involvement is 10 times worse, as Phil's life normally is, of anything that Ian did. Yes, he locked him in the cabin, but then immediately tried to... obviously Sharon wasn't there, and all she has heard is Dennis's voice message saying, Ian's locked me in here, the boat's sinking, help me. So I guess in Sharon's mind, it's like maybe the boat started sinking and then Ian locked him in the cabin. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here to try and make it make sense, but I just don't get, how... I mean, the thing is, Phil, I don't know. Do you reckon that Phil is I know Phil has said, all right, we're in this together. I can't forgive him for what he's done either. But he's giving Sharon, really small supply of tablets to make this happen. So is Phil sort of trying to make this not happen and is trying to prolong it until he can work out what to do? Or
that's what I was wondering. Because was it last week he said, he wouldn't do that to Ian because he's family, because he's technically Ben's brother. Yeah,
so he can't have changed his mind that quickly.
Yeah, it's Phil, but no, it's family. That's a top tier tick for him. I was wondering, the pills he gave her, were they not sugar pills or something? I don't know. Were they not that dangerous? But
maybe. I can kind of see Phil doing something like that, like giving her some sort of vitamin A tablet or something.
Yeah, because
Sharon's busy pestle and mortaring it that quickly just that she doesn't notice the picture of Fireman Sam on the vitamin tablets.
Exactly, and she keeps saying oh, you couldn't do it quick enough, I'm going to get on and do this, but she's taking her time.
She's taking years to do it.
It's very it's so when there's killers on the square and you have to then forgive the character. I know she hasn't killed Ian, but Stacey when she killed Archie, they made that as she wasn't in her right frame of mind. She did it spare of the moment. But this Sharon thing is a prolonged abuse of Ian, which is really a nasty trait that they've given Sharon, which I don't think she would do that.
Well, do you think that Sharon is starting to have sort of second thoughts? I mean, I imagine that the whole thing is it's clear the whole thing is driving her mad anyway. She's going mental because she keeps trying to come up with solutions on the hop. When Kathy starts questioning her about the relationship between them, she instantly decides to throw a party in the Vic to show everybody how much she loves Ian, despite the fact that Ian can barely stand. So it's what? So how much longer do you think that Sharon can actually deal with what she's doing? She leaves a cup of poisoned coffee on the side that Ollie nearly grabs and she goes mental. And it's how long realistically can you keep doing this? Presumably at some point she's going to have to either go, right, do you know what, screw this, I can't do it, or she's just going to try and suffocate him with a pillow.
Yeah, I'm hoping she goes the latter and decides she can't do it in the end, in the final moments. Because she's done that before with Grant, where she had this big grand plan to humiliate him for his wrongdoings with Sharon Gate, and just at the last second she couldn't do it. So I'm assuming that's the same sort of thing she's going to do with Ian here.
Yeah, can she realistically murder whoever, her best... I think with the whole Denny thing, she's looking for someone to blame, and because Phil is apparently incapable of being blamed for anything, she's taking it out on Ian. And I think she is literally just in the mad stages of grief. I can buy her being in the mad stages of grief, where she is kind of right, this is Ian's fault, he needs to be punished. Whilst at the same time, Phil can see what's going on, and is maybe even giving Ian pills to make him better. Who knows? But Can you imagine that? Like, Phil's just has been to the doctors and been like, right, I need something for arsenic poisoning, please.
Yeah, that would work. That would be good.
I'd enjoy that. Just Ian's medication, just battling with each other for the whole thing. But yeah, I can see Sharon sort of being mad with grief and deciding that Ian needs to die, but I cannot see her genuinely going through with it because I think that it's starting to take its toll on her. Letitia Dean's eye acting is getting to a stage where she's frantic now. So I don't know how much wider they can go before Sharon bursts.
She's going to put on like her 4th set of eyelashes to really emphasise this.
She's going to need glasses soon. She's going to put the glasses that Sharon needed to read a magazine a few weeks ago before they just go blurring out of focus entirely. So go on, predictions for like the next couple of weeks. Where do you reckon we're going to be with this story in like in a couple of weeks? Say if they took next week off from this story and came back to it.
The trouble, this show is so difficult to predict at the moment. Things can change within like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
What I would like to see is her, Phil, and Ian to just all come clean and just sit down and maybe all of them take a slight bit of responsibility for Denny's death.
That would be the sensible thing to do. I doubt that's going to happen.
So what we're going to do is get 2 warehouses.
Yeah, right. One of you get in the back of that car. I'm going to tie one of you up.
Sharon's going to wear her trainers and
yes. Oh God, yes. I hope so. It's been ages since we've seen Sharon running around in her trainers of trouble, trainers of peril. We've
got Kathy as well, who seems to be the only resident sort of noticing an issue here. And she's got like history with Phil and Sharon, and Ian's her son. So hopefully Kathy will be the one to step in and take charge here. That's what I can assume happened because they're all like the originals, aren't they, sticking together? So yeah, something with Kathy, yeah, something like that. But I don't know because then I just remember we've got Adam Wishart taking a 10-week break at some point. So how does that fix into it? Is he going to come clean and just run away, or is
he going to slowly slip into a coma for as long as he needs to?
That's what we thought was going to happen with the Who Hit Ian.
Yeah.
Stuff. But all that seems to be forgotten as well. Like, all the suspects were really suspicious, like Rainey and Suki and Kira and Peter. And now the viewer has seen the flashback of Phil doing it.
Nobody's asking any questions of each other anymore.
No one seems to hate Ian, and they're all turning up to his engagement party.
It's a standard week living in Walford, though, isn't it? You were really suspicious last week, but I guess that was just the New Year's Eve.
That was just for slow motion cameras.
Honestly, emotions go so high around this square around Christmas time. It's just safer not to leave the house.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah, exactly. Right, so we move on now to a game. What have you got for me?
We are. This is Slater Family Values, which is a classic game. I will go through the rules because it's been quite a while since we've played it with each other. But because it's your first time, Rob.
Yes, be kind.
I do want to be gentle with you on your first time.
Thank you.
So I think normally I would do this in 30 seconds. So
right.
Did you want me to go easy or hard for you today?
I mean, I think you could probably go from easy to hard as soon as I get used to it.
After a few minutes, it'll be fine.
After a few minutes, just slip in. Go on.
Well, I can give you 30 seconds of hardness or 60 seconds.
Oh, okay.
What would you prefer? How confident are you in your EastEnders knowledge?
Well, tell me the rules first, and then I'll tell you whether it sounds like a game I'm going to humiliate myself with, or
you've already done that plenty.
Yeah, that's true.
Slater Family Values. It's basically 6 degrees of separation. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you 2 characters, and you need to link them in 6 steps. So it can't be.
It has to be 6. It has to be 6 steps. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the first one being the first character, the last one being the last character.
Okay.
And you have a set amount of time to do it for. So you have to link them through like family relations or storylines or friendships, things like that, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, so they're 2 characters who you might not think have too much in common, but as we know, everyone's related on Walford.
Yes, exactly. All right then, fine. So what? I've got the choice to do the 30 seconds or 60 seconds.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go for 45 seconds. Is that an option?
Yes, I'll have to download a specific time noise for that.
Oh, a noise.
That's fine. I'll do 45-second clock.
Yeah, you sure?
Yeah,
you manage that? We get the rights for a 45-second clock. Is that possible? Okay, go.
Mm-hmm. You've got to link Ash to Big Mo in 6 steps.
In 6 steps. Okay, so Ash is the daughter of Suki.
Yeah,
Suki, yeah, absolutely. Suki has had a war with Martin Fowler, and who is at one point married to Stacey Fowler, who lives with Kat Slater, who who is the mother of Tommy, who is the grandson of Mo.
Grandson, did you want an official?
Yeah, what is it?
How many
like
times is it removed?
It's like 4.
Fourth grandson.
Yeah, 4th grandson, twice removed.
Right.
Something like that.
That's well done.
I think I took quite.
Seconds.
Oh, that's all right. I think I took quite a massive leap from It was quite a big stepping stone from Suki to straight into the Slater house.
Yeah.
So I just had to kind of go in circles till I landed on Mo.
That's the way to do it. You see,
Yeah.
there's so many in the house. Yeah, I mean, very similar to what I had down. I do like a countdown thing where I do my version next. You know, like the woman on Countdown does her.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, go on, Carol.
Carol, how old do you think I am? What's the other woman called? Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel
I'm
Riley. I don't know whether Rachel's been doing it for longer than Carol ended up doing it now. I don't know. Because she was there for years. I don't know. Anyway, go on.
I had Ash works with Sonia.
Mm-hmm.
Sonia was married to Martin, and then everything else was pretty much the same. Martin was also married to Stacey. Stacey lives with Kat. Kat's dad, I went with Charlie.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's what I should have gone for.
And then Charlie's obviously mother-in-law, which is the
that
correct relationship there.
That would have been slightly easier.
Was Big Mo.
I was kind of like, I needed one more. I was kind of like, Tommy? But, you know, any excuse to get Suki in.
No, yeah, exactly. She wasn't in it this week, I don't think, was she? So
only briefly when she was horrified by the state of Ian, which we've all been at some point.
So there you go, you did it. Well done.
Thank you.
Your first time was very impressive. You left me
thank
satisfied.
you. I'm pleased. I can go harder next time.
Yeah. So there you go. That was Slater's Family Values.
Excellent. I think I did very well. Make sure Alex knows how well I did on that. I want that bit played on repeat until he accepts his place as my lower down on the gaming chain than me. So we move on now to Callum, Ben, and Jack, and I would believe would be the final appearance of D.I. Gaffney. I would have thought.
Well, we've been led to believe that before.
Yeah, but I genuinely have no idea what other purpose he has now. I think he's agreed to sort of step back from everything that he was planning. Jack's sort of taken control and taken charge. And I think we are finally done with D.I. Gaffney.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, this storyline is so confusing to me. Like, to try and keep up with what is going on with all these characters' hidden motives. It's just bizarre because now Jack's now involved and, like, telling D.I. Thompson, I'll take Phil down for you if you step back. And
yeah, I don't know.
Is Jack double bluffing? Like, just to get rid of D.I. Thompson to save Callum? Or does he want to take Phil down because of Raymond? And
well, I feel like the whole thing was basically that Jack was trying to, like, he's now got hold of his memory stick with apparently Gaffney's life work on Phil Mitchell.
Oh, yeah, where did that come from?
I don't know what's on this memory stick. Presumably anything that was kind of picked up on the bug, and then sort of all Gaffney's hate letters to Phil over the years, and sort of like, all pictures of Arrest Phil written on the walls and all that kind of thing, like Sideshow Bob. But yeah, so Jack now has this in his possession. Now, whether we ever hear from this stick again, or whether it's just going to sort of disappear into the ether, like many other story points do, I don't know. But basically, the whole point of this week is seemingly to tie a sort of bow on the whole sort of Callum and Gaffney thing. Thank God. As much as obviously I will miss D.I. Gaffney because he's been a source of great amusement to me for many weeks now. Many, many, many weeks.
He'll live
he will live on in our memory. But it's kind of like, I don't even understand what Gaffney's original plan was. Like, it seems like most of the questions I had about this story seem to have been answered off screen. Sort of Gaffney's role of it, him going to this review, him being suspended, him like realise that him somehow managing to clear his name from the whole thing so that he can just get Callum into trouble and then get Callum, Phil, Stuart and Ben all sent to prison and then sit and smoke his cigar. I don't understand.
It's just bizarre. Like, what happened with Stuart? Last we saw him, was he being arrested? Wasn't he? He was being questioned and then they told him he was being like a double agent and it wasn't. Yeah. It was off the record.
Yeah.
And then the stuff with Callum and like, it's just so... Does it need to be this confusing? Like, it reminds me of when Stacey hit Phil last year. That ended up in
the spaghetti junction that was that plot.
Yeah, no one knows what's going on. It feels the same here. I generally can't understand what's going on. I'm just sort of, unfortunately, because of that, I'm not more invested trying to work out. I'm just glazing over any scenes of them because I can't be bothered to work it out because I don't feel that they know themselves what they're doing.
Well, I don't even know what Callum's plan was in all of this, because so originally at the start of the week, Jack tells him that he's got a meeting with, I think, Gaffney and like some people to talk about everything that's been going on, and everything's over for Callum. There's nothing he can do. And then the next time we see Jack goes, he's changed his mind and says, right, I cancelled the meeting. And then says, right, I've got another plan. You meet up with Gaffney in Ruby's club later, because where else would you meet somebody who's possibly going to arrest you? And then Callum tells Gaffney that he has apparently solid cast iron evidence against Phil, but give me a couple of weeks and I'll be able to get something to show you. Which I think understandably by this point Gaffney's like, you know what? No, see you later. Is like on his way to the Mitchells to sort of tell them all about Callum and what he's done, and Callum's running behind on the phone to Jack going, he's going to tell Callum, please help me. And Jack then turns up, takes the memory stick, and basically tells Gaffney, right, let's think about this here, Steve, or whatever he said his name was. Tyre. Well, you need to retire. Go on a boat. Yeah, you know how boats go around here. Go on. And then basically goes into Phil, kind of tells, like, now Phil and Callum sort of, Phil and Ben sort of know the truth of what's been going on with Callum, kind of. But
not
it's
like
kind of
100%, yeah.
No, and it's kind of put Callum in sort of the guardian angel type role, as if he's been going through all this mental torment for months to try and keep the Mitchells out of prison, and he's the best undercover copper since Sherlock Holmes. It's just absolutely mad. And then Jack tells Phil that he's got this memory stick, and if you don't want anything to happen to this, you'll stay away from Denise and Raymond.
Yes.
Essentially, is what it all boils down
Raymond with Patrick.
Yeah.
So it's yes.
And Phil's kind of like, yeah, sure, Jack, and then kind of carries on going behind Phil because he knows that this memory stick will be forgotten about and thrown into the forgotten about. So Phil's not in the slightest bit worried about it anyway. I don't know. But then, of course, by the end of the week, what we do have, because Ben is fooled by Callum's story, he tells Jay, and I could hear Ballum fans screaming in joy and glee throughout the land, Ben is planning on marrying Callum.
Yes.
Big fat gay wedding is coming.
I mean, will they get the same treatment that Rain and Stewart got, which was one episode planning the wedding?
No,
we'll get married. And then that was it.
No. We'll get a week. Probably get like a month-long epic saga of the best wedding that Walford's ever seen. The most traumatic, anguish-filled. Lots of moments where any moment was possible for them to rip each other's clothes off in a socially distant setting. It's just anything to make it the biggest wedding that Walford's ever seen. That's what it will be.
Yeah, I mean, when Ben said that, I did think, have they just signed Callum's death warrant? Like,
I mean,
is
maybe
something going to happen on the line of duty?
Oh, you can imagine, can't you?
Yeah, I don't know. They never give gay couples happy endings as much as we'd like one.
Do you know what it is? It's because they insist on starting them so anguish-filled, especially like any gay. And the thing is, I've kind of followed Kate Oates' progress throughout all the soaps that she's ever worked on. She normally sticks in a kind of gay couple that the viewers go mad for in every one that she's done.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the way that she does these gay stories is that she starts them off so anguish-filled that it kind of reaches a point where when one of the actors wants to leave, the only way that these two characters would ever be apart, because they're so obsessed with each other and love each other so much, is for one of them to die. Like, there's no other kind of logical solution as to why they'd want to leave. So I kind of feel like that's the only reason that she ever gets this, to get to this stage. It's kind of like, well, I guess I've got to kill one of them off then. And that'll devastate the viewers and it'll be amazing television. And it's kind of like, well, no.
Yeah, and like Callum, out of the two, like Callum's the one who is unfortunately going to be the easier.
Yeah, because they're never going to kill off Ben Mitchell, are they?
So I do fear for our Callum. But I don't know, maybe this I'm going to marry that man is just waiting for when the truth comes out about Callum double crossing, and then Ben will. Oh,
but they've given the viewers that little sort of
that
bait now, haven't they?
Put it in the universe.
Put it in the universe, and now we're expecting a big wedding by the summer.
I mean, surely they're going to have to wait until social distancing stuff stops to do this as like a big event. So maybe we'll be waiting. Oh,
so 2025 then. That'll be good. Yeah. I look forward to that. Oh, I don't know. And then
So they are happy for now.
They're thrilled, yeah. I'm just so happy watching them on screen. We're good, yeah. Is it work? Is it work? Is it work? No, it's not work. I love you. We're all good, yeah, yeah. Let's go rehearse for Britain's Got Talent. I mean, maybe I'm just bitter and single and alone, and I just sort of don't want to watch like this ridiculously pornographic gay couple on television all the time. No, maybe it's just me.
No, I understand. I mean, it's very just comparing Ben and Callum to Ash and Ikra is like such a disservice to Ash and Ikra as a couple. Of screen time and story development and character development is so different. And like, why is Ash and Ikra being ignored so much? Like, when did we ever see them at home doing anything apart from one time they kissed in the kitchen, I think, didn't they?
And then the rest of the time they've been arguing about sort of Suki and Ash. I know it's just, I don't know.
I don't understand. Like they said they were having better representation, but they've killed off Tina, shipped off Sonia for months, and Ash and Ikra are just non-existent. And it's like
maybe Ash and Ikra are going to move forward in the coming months. I was reading the Panasars. I've got some big stories coming up, so that would be nice. Gives Ikra something to do, because she has nothing to do at the moment.
No, exactly. I much prefer Ben and Callum when they're not doing this secrets and angst and blackmail. I like to see them just as like a couple, which we see so
normal
rarely.
Couple.
Yeah, but they were out together having fun with Frankie at the end of the week, at least.
Yeah, for about 5 minutes before it all went slightly mad. Before Callum had to arrest her.
I just think with characters, they need to be settled for a bit and just
just sort of not Mitchell, do anything Mitchell-y for a while. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I like the kind of relationship that Jay has with them. I quite like this whole sort of three lads thing, with Callum, Ben, and Jay just sort of being friends, sitting in the Vic, having stuff together. There doesn't have to be murders and car chases and explosions and all of that sort of thing, just to have a nice sort of three-character thing, just mates. Do you know what I mean? I feel like there's not a huge amount of mates on the square at the minute. Like, you've got Linda and Sharon, who are best mates, as we're told.
Yeah, when they need to be.
Yeah, and then obviously Ben and Jay, and obviously Jay and Callum get on well. But like, who is there really in terms of mates on the square? That's what I like. I'd like to see that sort of non-romantic relationships to be built up between the characters. So there's dynamics that can feed off each other everywhere, rather than it just being story, just character stuff that naturally feeds into stories.
Yeah, and they have someone they can go to for advice, or go to someone that they can just talk about what's going on in their lives. That's what that feels like missing. And I remember like back when Whitney and Callum were together and like the Ben thing was starting.
All those years ago, yeah.
They had a really good group of like Jay, Ben, Callum, Whitney, and Ruby.
Yeah.
And like that was quite a fun dynamic there with all those history of characters, and it all feels very divided, and like even Kush and Martin aren't friends anymore, and Ruby and Stacey aren't friends, and like you need those relationships to make you feel for when these characters do these stupid things. That's when you think, oh, I feel for them now. But without that bit in the middle, it feels so
and this is when that character will and then this is when that character will step in and sort of be the person that pulls them out of it. And it's almost like you could advise the characters themselves, right? You need to go to Jay now, right? You need to go to Whitney now, and sort of sort out that, and you can sort of advise them yourself as a viewer. I don't know. It's maybe we'll see it more. Hopefully, I hope so, because I kind of miss that sort of interaction between characters.
Everyone feels just so hateful at the moment.
Yeah, everyone's just angry.
Everyone literally hates each other, and it's like, and they're all blackmailing each other, and they're all nasty to each other. You need that light somewhere.
I mean, I think that
storytelling.
I think, I understand at the minute that it's difficult for huge amounts of characters to interact because of the whole COVID filming and all of that sort of thing. But I think it might hopefully be something that they'll want to build on naturally as soon as the restrictions lessen. They'll want to involve more characters in each other's stories. I hope so.
I mean, I know it was last week, but I wasn't on the show, so I'm going to talk about it.
No, absolutely not. Go on.
When Linda and Mick did the thing where they could interact with each other normally, because they were when they were in a bubble, or when they could touch each other and act together. I was really surprised with how much of a difference that made to watching them on screen. It was such a difference. I'm wondering whether I know they're doing their best at social distancing, but I think that may be why so much of this feels a bit cold at the moment, because it was such a difference between seeing Mick and Linda be able to do that to then seeing Ben and Callum kiss from across the bar on Friday's episode. So I don't think people realised how much of a difference that actually made to
it did make a huge amount of difference, and I think you forget how, like, when, you know, like, obviously they're trying their best with all these tricks and, you know, and you can't fault them really for everything they're doing to try and make it all look as normal as possible. But you kind of forget that when you're not looking for those, you know, when, you know, you're suddenly confronted with sort of characters kissing in a weird angle because they've got to film it differently, to characters sort of touching each other and grabbing each other's heads and screaming at each other's heads and all of that kind of thing. Like, it's a huge. You're right. It's a massive difference, and I can't wait for these restrictions to be over. To be honest,
I know. Just get the testing in and get it done.
Yes, get the vaccines on the go. Right, we'll move on now to Mick, Linda, Frankie, and Katy, the Carter stuff. Now, what do you think? I mean, obviously we didn't get your viewpoint on what you thought of the New Year's Eve episodes, Ben. What were your thoughts?
Oh, they were very good. Like,
weren't they excellent?
Top quality. Like New Year's, was it New Year's Day, the hour-long episode?
Yeah.
That was that felt like proper that was EastEnders. Like,
it's pretty
the whole
spectacular.
Thing was so good and so well handled. And Simone, who plays Katy, she's doing this so well. Like, she's not had the most character development or the biggest scripts in the world, but what she has been given and what she does with it has been quite amazing. And I would say the same this week, seeing her and Frankie for the first. I think this is the first time we've seen them together as mother and daughter.
I think so. Yeah, I think there was a brief thing when Katy first came into it, and Katy was kind of persuading Mick to tell Frankie that he's made a mistake, and they had that scene in like secret cafe, didn't they? And then Frankie stormed off, and I don't think we really saw much of Frankie since then.
No.
But yeah, so basically this week, Katy is kind of still reeling from the events of New Year's Day, where she realises that she's got to get Frankie out of the country as soon as possible, because it's really easy to get people out of the country.
Yeah,
at the moment
another one.
days.
This one's Australia, isn't it?
And again, Australia, you know, so bless them. They keep trying to send these characters to the strictest kind of border places in the world, and just to run a bar. But yeah, basically to stop Mick getting to her and having a DNA test and all of that sort of thing, she has arranged with Frankie's godmother for Frankie to run this bar in Australia. And I think Frankie then goes to the Carters to try and talk to Mick. Mick's out, so she's left with Linda, which is enough to drive anyone to drink. And then if Linda gives Frankie her number, it's nice that Linda knows what's going on now, so she can kind of look at it from another perspective and sort of say, right, I tell you what, you don't do that for the minute while Mick's sort of recovering, and then you can come back later and we'll maybe have a conversation then. So she gives Katy her number. Frankie doesn't deal with any of it very well. I'm not entirely sure why she decided to go and get so blind, drunk and violent at Ruby's.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not sure what triggered her into that.
Yeah, it's hard to remember because we haven't seen Frankie for like so long. It's hard to remember where she was, in her headspace where she was last. Because didn't Katy say Mick wasn't her father?
Yeah.
So she doesn't believe Mick is, but I'm guessing she's... Because the way they were talking to each other, it was almost like she does know that Mick is her dad. When they're in the house together talking, I got a bit confused there. It almost seemed like she does know, but it doesn't want to quite admit it yet. And I'm guessing that's why she went over to have a chat. But I mean, it was nice to see Linda being that supportive role again. It almost feels like the Max affair was just like really pointless. Like, this storyline could have had the same sort of beats without that.
Yeah.
Because seeing Linda and Mick talk now and be a bit more homey to each other while they're doing the ironing or making pasta balls, whatever they're doing. It was quite nice.
Quave is on pasta and all that sort of thing.
It's quite nice just to see them be able to talk to each other, and she was supporting him through Frankie and keeping her away for a bit while he got better. I thought it was really nice to see.
But then it all goes crazy, and then Frankie gets of course, because it always does. And Frankie ends up getting into a fight with someone who first trying to throw homophobia at Ben and Callum, saying your kiss looks rubbish, it looks social distant, and then mocks Frankie for being deaf. So Frankie absolutely wallops him one. Another quite a good looking punch, I thought, as well. Yeah. It looked realistic. And then Callum decides that it's time for him to be a copper again. As a PC Highway arrests Frankie for violence in the club.
Yes, that annoyed me, that did.
I keep forgetting that Callum's a police officer.
So
you know what I mean? Yeah, I know. So, oh god, that's me, innit? I'm here, yeah. So it's kind of like... Callum decides to arrest Frankie. She's sent to the police station. She's just about to be interviewed. She tries to ring Linda. Linda's busy talking to Mick and dealing with like quavers on pasta and all that sort of thing. So she's got no time for Frankie. Declines the call, so Frankie's left with calling Katy, and that's kind of where we leave it. So what happens next?
I mean, that's the thing. Frankie must know that her mum's in the wrong, mustn't she? Because her first point of call, she went to Linda. And she thought, oh,
why would you do that? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and she obviously didn't want to give her mum like the satisfaction of being the one who's there for her, and it ended up being like, oh, my mum is the one there for me. So I'm wondering if she's now going to be able to convince Frankie, like, I was the one that was there for you, so believe what I say.
Yeah.
And maybe don't believe them.
Yeah, I think like the whole point of her having to ring Katy is sort of maybe it's I think like you say, it's sort of a way for the show to be like, so now she's stuck with the manipulative one again. That's gonna sort of make her mind go to weird places. So
Will
it's
she
kind
go
of
to Australia.
I doubt it, because Frankie, it's a good point to note when you've got like a new character coming in. When they start appearing in the credits in like different places, as opposed to not just stuck at the end as a guest character. Like she's actually in exactly. She's actually in the credits, like in terms of when she appeared. So she's a regular character now. Right. So presumably she is here to stay. I don't think Australia is going to have her. It's going to have her grace. So
that's fine. I'm quite glad. I quite like.
I like Frankie. Yeah, I like Frankie as a character, and I like that there seems to be a bit of a friendship established with Ben, and I think she's got the fieriness to be Ben's mate. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying this story now. As it felt like it was going around in circles for weeks on end. Now they've actually dealt with everything in it, and Linda's in a better place. Max's part in this story is literally him just kind of sulking, and that's fine. I can deal with that. We're used to Max sulking and drinking himself into a stupor. Not a problem. We can deal with that. He can do that till the cows come home. And you've got Mick and Linda as this solid unit again that are ready to take on anything that's thrown at them. It's a much more enjoyable story to watch, and you can. It's literally now us against Katy, as opposed to watching Katy trying to spin all these lies everywhere and Mick being too confused to come forward to anybody. So it's kind of like Katy's now going to have to up her game, isn't she?
Well, sort of the thing, isn't it?
What can she do next?
It's how manipulative she can be, basically, and can she squirm? Because she was very horrible. The thing when she did admit it to Mick, the way she was
evil,
yeah,
skin crawling.
Yeah, he just wants to not. He thinks he's dealt with it, I guess, now, and she's obviously got the things coming to her mind, and Frankie questioning it all. But the story works so well because of the caliber of characters that are around. Like it's such a strong unit of Mick and Linda and Frankie
and strong
Katy,
actors as well.
Yeah, strong actors, Shirley. So it's going to be hard for them to mess this up, and I think they have actually done. They've done it really well, which surprises me. But apart from the Max Linda affair bit, which I didn't like it has been a very strong storyline.
So we are moving on to talking of let's call it a storyline. It is Denise, Jack, Patrick, Lucas, and Chelsea. First, right off the bat, I'm going to say that I'm just going to go with it now. I'm done with complaining about how ridiculous the whole thing is, because it's not going to change. It's not going to stop being ridiculous. No. Like it's the same with the Sharon thing. There's nothing I can do about it. So I think it's
just sit down and watch it.
Just sit down and enjoy the ride, I guess, isn't it? So a lot of this week has got Patrick in kind of forefront, which I quite liked, because it's not very often we get sort of a lot of Patrick. And Patrick's thing this week is basically trying to get Raymond away to Phil, and sort of lying to Denise and getting Phil sort of football time with Raymond. I think Phil's looking quite hopeful that Raymond could be the one kind of offspring that he can actually play football with. Yeah. He's looking good at the minute.
It's a very cheap football he's bought, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's well, the thing is though, the way it's going, Phil's luck with kids and this kind of thing. Like, so he's one dead, one gay, one daughter. Raymond's probably going to lose his legs within the next 2 years or something like that, so that you can't play football with him or something, But basically, it kind of boils down to Kim sees Phil and Patrick in the park when it's absolutely raining, by the way, as well.
Yeah, I know.
It's no wonder Patrick ended up ill. Sat there, pleurisy. And Denise takes Raymond and goes and stays with Jack, leaving Patrick on his own. Now, we have seen that Patrick has sort of had little moments of Patrick's not well, what's wrong with Patrick? Mm-hmm. And it culminates in Lucas arriving at the Fox's house, and an argument kind of builds up and builds up and builds up. The climax goes Patrick yelling at Lucas to hit him, and then he collapses with another stroke.
Yes, he does. I mean, Rudolph has done really well, because like you said, we rarely see Patrick given anything apart from his one catchphrase, which he just says for the past 8 years. Yeah, that's all he ever does. But you kind of forget how good he is.
He's a great actor. Yeah, exactly. And no one can fault his stroke acting either.
No, he's really, really impressive. So I'm glad they've given him some more to do. But
I'm so pleased that they didn't like go the full hog with the stroke thing like they did last time, because that the last time Patrick had a stroke, it stuck with me for months. I hated it. It was horrific. Like the makeup and all of that kind of thing. It gave me nightmares. I mean, like, not criticising, it was powerful, but I just didn't like it. It made me uncomfortable. I think it's body horror, isn't it? When you watch like the whole face just collapse on one side, I hate it. So Lucas's thing is based. It all kind of melds into sort of strange places, because while all that's going on, Lucas and Chelsea are having a meeting with Lucas's parole officer, or whatever she was.
He was very impressed with him and his quotes
has absolutely no worries about this Bible quoting serial killer being on the streets, having been attacked once already. And she's kind of like, yeah, but that's fine. You sticking to your bail conditions, yeah, excellent, yeah, I'll just tick that off. Right, off you go. Cheers. I've got to go for coffee with Sally in 5 minutes.
It's such a shame that this, like, quite a big part of the storyline, let's admit, like Lucas being back, it's such a shame it doesn't make sense, because everything else around it is really good and
it's
impressive.
Interesting, yeah,
but I just can't get past that. Why is he on parole?
Why is he out?
Like, isn't like parole normally like people who are trying to rehabilitate themselves, like
exactly, like addicts or someone who has got like a kleptomaniac or an arsonist or someone like that, not someone who kills women and quotes the Bible at them because he sees them as sort of scums and sinners of the earth. That's not the sort of person that you put on parole.
It's very difficult for me to there's things that you can overlook, like Sharon with her poison pudding. It's like, fine, it's what it is.
Yeah,
but, like, I find it really difficult to overlook this, and it's such a shame because everything else about it is so good.
Yeah, I know. None of it makes any sense, and like you say, it's that part that's sort of dragging the story down, because there is no logical explanation whatsoever for Lucas to be out of prison in any way, shape, or form. There's no sense in him escaping because he's tried to do that once already. There's no sense in him being this much freedom. Like, he's allowed to go wherever he wants, as long as he promises not to go anywhere near Denise.
Yeah, and like, could he not have a tag? Like, just a tag, an ankle tag, maybe?
Nothing.
Don't know, but there's nothing.
They're not bothered. All they've got is this parole officer that sort of sits there, could not look less interested if she tried, and sort of nods along while he's quoting the Bible at her and goes, yeah, cool. As long as you stick to your bail conditions, that's absolutely fine.
And like the obvious moment as well when he said, "Oh no, I've got Chelsea. She's the angel on my shoulder," and like it had like a lingering shot of her like looking a little bit evil.
Well, round of applause for Alex, because he said this last week that he thought that Chelsea would be the one that's behind the attack, and I kind of said, "Oh yeah, that'd be good," whilst thinking Alex is an idiot. That can't be right at all.
Let me tell you a secret. When I was in the kitchen last week, I was discussing this with him. And this was actually my idea. So
did he steal your theory?
He's stolen my idea.
He's stolen your theory?
Yes, because I don't know what Alex said, but when the guy pushed against the door and says, "Oh, you don't come out," she'd obviously said, "When you do this, can you make it look like I can't help? So can you just block me in the door so my dad doesn't notice?" That's what I was going with. And then we had that line of, "She's my angel on my shoulder looking after me." I was like, well, that's confirmed.
Well, yeah, exactly. From that point, I was like, oh, it was Chelsea. Fair enough.
So I don't know what Phil did to make him think like he deserves his meetings with Raymond. Did he was his little warning to him in the restaurant
Yeah, that was it. I think Phil just put bare minimum effort in.
Yeah, well, he doesn't deserve to see Raymond then in that case.
No,
Phil,
because I think, but does Patrick think that Phil is to do with is all to do with how Lucas was attacked? He must do.
Didn't he say Phil wouldn't do that?
No, because I think what he was trying to do at that point was trying to stop Lucas from killing him and saying, no, all I told him to do was scare you off. I didn't ask him to do this. It's not my fault. It turns out, obviously, that last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever it happened, when Lucas was attacked, Chelsea gets a phone call, because all of this is, by the way, set at Secret Cafe. I always call it a Secret Cafe. What's the actual term for this cafe? It's the cafe that...
Is it Joanne's, I think? Or
I don't know, but I just call it Secret Cafe, because it's the cafe that all characters go to when they need to talk about something that they don't want anyone they know to hear them.
Yeah.
There's got to be at some point a crossover period when two people need to go to Secret Cafe, and they're kind of, all right, no, yeah, so you go in there first. I'll go in there later. I don't need to go in there right now. It's fine. But yeah, basically, Chelsea is up to something. She has got a job on or something, and
yeah, it's hard to work out, isn't it?
We don't really know a lot.
Yeah, I had to rewatch the scene with subtitles so I could really try and work out if there was any hints, but like she basically said the guy that you nearly killed was the guy that I'm setting up for you. So like I can't work out what is Chelsea a gangster now? Is that where we are?
Gangster Chelsea. I hope not, because that's as far away a character as Chelsea could ever possibly be, isn't it? Like, she went as far as being a cocaine addict, but I can't imagine Chelsea as sort of like this gun-toting queen of the gangland sort of person.
I mean, she's come into money. We've been sort of led to believe, haven't we, that she's quite well.
Well, she's looking well, yeah.
Yeah, and she's arranging things. I'm guessing she's trying to get revenge on Lucas, but not letting anyone know. But it's just this deal that she's trying to get. I don't quite understand what it could be. Like, is she a drug dealer? Is she trying to set him up?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's just...
It could be quite easy to send him back to prison if she really wanted to. Just phone the police and say he's been to...
All she needs
Denise.
to do, literally. So I don't know what her plan is or why she's doing any of it. I mean, presumably we'll find out at some point. The other thing that kind of blows my mind is the fact that Denise went to go and speak to them at Secret Cafe and wasn't really that fussed about leaving Chelsea with Lucas. You'd feel that Denise at some point would be kind of like, you need to get away from him. He is a killer. You're not safe with him. Do you not remember what he did to us? But she doesn't really seem to be kind of battling with Chelsea all that much about being with Lucas.
She's kind of like, oh, Chelsea's got her own mind, so I'll just leave her to do it.
No point in even arguing with you. Fine, stay with the serial killer. I don't care. It's kind of like, all right, Denise, I know you've got Patrick to deal with, but it's just your daughter that you're leaving in the capable hands of this man.
Yeah, there's so many bits that stop this storyline from being like really like epic and like a real big moment for these characters, which is such a shame. But I can't even guess what Chelsea is doing.
No, I haven't got a clue.
She's not a gangster, I don't mind.
Well, are we going to have some? I mean, what do you think it's gearing up to a return? Is it going to turn out that Chelsea's gang boss is none other than Squiggles?
Oh, God, no. I thought you were going to say Ellie Dixon there.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
She's on the phone to her, but that would be equally as tragic.
So Squiggles then, yeah?
Yeah, I'd rather have that.
You can imagine just Squiggles turning around in this leather chair. Hello, Mum.
Stroking a cat.
So yeah, I'd love that with a cigarette in her mouth. I'd love that. I mean, sipping whiskey.
The quote that the actress did about Chelsea always sticks in my mind, where she said like, "Oh, you might find out I'm more like my dad than my mum after all," and that always sticks in my mind. Like, yeah. And then obviously we got the reveal on Friday, so she's up to something. But
as soon as she starts sprouting Bible stuff, I'm done.
But yeah, I mean, one other weird thing about the storyline was I didn't understand the reaction that Isaac had about Patrick taking pills.
I was about to bring this up, yeah. Like, the whole thing with Isaac is that he's left with another father figure from his life dying. So that's the sort of the kind, because let's be honest, Isaac's story isn't exactly thorough at the moment, is it? So, Isaac and Cherie sort of kind of like are playing sort of the dutiful, worried relatives, and Isaac left the hospital because it was all too much for him, and Cherie is panicking because Patrick doesn't like the medication that he's on at the moment. So Cherie's wondering how she's going to make him take more of the said medication. It's kind of because you might die, Patrick. That's basically it,
Let's hope Sharon doesn't hear about this. Because she'll be over in seconds.
Oh, she'll be overstealing Patrick's stroke medication. The other thing was when Denise turned around and was just like, "You did this to Patrick, didn't you? To Lucas, you did this." It's like, what do you think? He had a stroke, Denise. What do you think Lucas did? Force feed him cholesterol or something? Who knows?
Yeah, it's all very.
It's mad.
When Isaac like stormed out and says, "Give me his pills, I'll make him take them," and then he stormed out of the hospital. It's a bit like, I don't quite understand.
Right, Isaac.
Yeah, it's a shame. I want to see more of Cherie and Isaac because
so do I.
They could be quite good, I think, especially Cherie, but they're so like a blank canvas at the moment.
Yeah,
I don't really know why he got angry about the pills and things. So
I mean, I get that the characters sort of lost their purpose when Patrick was off for so long. Patrick's back now, so can we start building? But now they've given Patrick a stroke, and it's kind of like it feels like this one's a lot more minor than the last one was, because the last stroke that Patrick had, it knocked him out of action for nearly a year, didn't it? So I don't think they're going to go that far with it again, because it didn't look as it was as serious as the last one was.
No, I think next week we do get some Cherie character development. Everyone,
that would be nice. That would be nice.
We'll look forward to that next week.
Yes.
I think.
Finally, Sonia.
Oh yeah,
Queen Sonia of the NHS is taking a well-earned holiday to India. I don't know what sort of restrictions India has at the moment. Do you reckon it's easy to get into India at the moment? I don't know. It's easier than Australia and New Zealand, anyway, I
Yeah.
would have thought.
I was going to say, it's very irresponsible of a nurse, though.
Not to go on holiday at the moment.
yes,
I don't
to
even
fly-
think they're allowed nurses.
No.
I don't think nurses are allowed holiday at the moment, are they?
So it's a very bizarre exit storyline, this is.
But to be fair, it's kind of like, what do you do at the moment? Like, you've got to get if you need characters to take breaks and make them leave at the moment, then what exactly are you supposed to do? You know, it's not like the characters can go anywhere anyway. So it's kind of like, screw it, let's just ignore the rules and send them to India.
Because Bex is in India, isn't she?
Yeah, since when?
She's going from Australia with Michelle to India. I'm guessing maybe she's staying with Robbie, do you think?
Oh god, yeah, Robbie's in India. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because that was his exit within like half a second, wasn't it? He ran to
And
India
he can stay there.
Yes. So yeah, I'm guessing that's where Sonia... They didn't mention Robbie or anything, but I'm guessing maybe that's what Sonia's going to do.
Maybe. Because Ash finds Sonia crying at work, clutching this necklace that a COVID patient has given her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is really the only sort of mention of COVID we've had proper in EastEnders since they've come back, really, isn't it? Like, we've had people talking about the lockdown and how like things were hard during the lockdown, and but nobody wears any masks or anything, so it's no wonder that the NHS that Walford General is going so horrifically wrong at the moment. And yeah, people are dying left, right and centre in the hospital. It's all getting far too much to Sonia. Ash, standing with her clipboard, recognises that Sonia is struggling, so gives Sonia the authority to go on holiday or something, I guess.
It was all done very quickly, and it doesn't
Well, it
give
was.
us time to like digest what's happened to Sonia, really. Like,
I mean, she was given more of an exit than Dottie was.
that's true.
I'm going on holiday now, bye! That was essentially Dottie's exit.
Yeah. But I mean, it's all very like they're sitting there talking about COVID and the strain and the struggle, but like they're both in the hospital, not wearing like not even like not one bit of PPE, and it's all a bit like, okay, you either don't mention it, which you've been doing, but then don't do a storyline about Sonia struggling with effects of it, with them just standing there naked, basically, in a hospital. It's like, pick one or the other, because it's like Sonia's worried and depressed and telling people off about not doing this or that, but then she's off to India, which is like the third highest country, which has the worst cases. It's like, which one, which thing are you going to have as realism? What are you not? It's very mixed and blurred lines.
Yeah, I mean, so while we're on the topic then, so COVID in EastEnders, which was the requested topic.
Yes.
What are your thoughts? What do you think it's been like in EastEnders for COVID?
Most of the time I've been like, yeah, they want to ignore it, that's okay, that's fine. But when it's needed to be mentioned, they mention it, like Ian saying, oh, it's affected my businesses, so that's led to the Who Attacked Ian storyline, or like this Sonia one, but like she's accepting gifts as well from patients, and it's like, isn't that illegal? You're not meant to accept gifts, are you, as a nurse?
No, that's true, but then Sonia's never had any problems with taking gifts from either that, she'll steal
she had a card,
so yeah, exactly,
given to her. So yeah, it's odd. I mean, then you get like the odd person wearing a mask. I think one person every blue moon, don't you, in the background? But then at the same time, people having engagement parties and house parties, so
yeah,
it's confusing.
I mean, I don't mind them not, because the thing is, if they've decided, right, okay, as far as we're concerned, COVID is going on in the background, but we can't, it's because the thing is, it's not affecting us, because the thing is, if you actually look at Corrie at the moment, Corrie are looking a little bit silly with the way they're dealing with COVID at the moment, because they've got things like characters walking into a shop, but they walk into the shop from outside with their masks on and then take the mask off when they start performing their dialogue, which makes no sense whatsoever. You may as well not bother.
Yeah, exactly. Does that just lead to being more noticeable than not having a mask at all?
I think so. I think so, because if all the characters are just sort of going around living normal lives, at the end of the day, if EastEnders was fully following all COVID, in terms of if Walford was following all COVID restrictions at the moment, the salon wouldn't be open, the pub would be shut. Effectively, everybody would be stuck at home, and you've not really got any stories.
No, and it's impossible to guess because it's filmed like ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And the rule.
If they try to predict, like, oh, the pubs might be open now, but then they're not in real life, it's just way too messy.
Yeah.
I think what they've been doing is fine, because I think they said they wanted it to be that if you rewatch it in like 10 years on repeat, you won't notice like, oh, this is the COVID time. That's what they wanted to do, wasn't it?
Apart from when you see, why are they kissing like that?
Well, yeah. But I guess maybe just the scenes in the hospital of the nurses and doctors.
Yeah.
Maybe they should be wearing it. Like,
because I don't think that's ever changed, has it? Like, I'm pretty sure since this all started, nurses have had to basically be dressed up like astronauts essentially because they're wearing that much PPE. Like my mum's a nurse. She goes to work looking like a beekeeper. It's crazy the amount of PPE that they've got to wear, and fair enough because that's the front line of the of where it's all kicking off. And I think we're being led to believe that Sonia is working on the front line. Her and Ash. Ash seems absolutely fine with this, by the way, taking it all in her stride.
Yeah, she's alright, isn't she?
Ash is fine with the pandemic. Yeah, Panasar pandemic, meh, COVID schmovid. Whereas weak Sonia.
Can't cope.
Can't cope.
But maybe they could have just shown her like taking off the PPP and being like sweaty and red faced, and that made us showed her panic a bit more, and maybe added to us believing that okay, she does need this break in India. Maybe, I guess, but it feels very rushed. Like, why have they given Natalie Cassidy this break? It's just
it's not like Sonia's been on screen that much anyway. Exactly. Like, if Sonia just wasn't on screen for a few months, I don't think we'd notice, would we? Because it's not like she is head and forefront of any stories at the moment. And Sonia's role is sort of there's not really many people around Sonia at the moment that she regularly interacts with anyway, apart from Martin, because Bex isn't there. You know, there's no Carol or Robbie or anyone like that. So it's like, who does Sonia really interact with, especially now Tina's gone as well?
Yeah, it's a shame. I'm wondering do you think she's going to come back with a recast Bex, maybe?
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But then we've also got this whole thing before the lockdown started where she was looking for her dad. Have we forgotten about that? Is that still happening?
I hope not. I hope that will come back into it. Because there's no reason they can't do that storyline. Like, the restrictions aren't limiting anything else. So let Sonia find her dad. Yeah, let her visit Carol and ask her a few questions.
Give Nat Cass some screen time. We like Sonia, and she's a great actress, and she's been in it long enough now, I think, to warrant a massive storyline for herself. So,
she does.
Giz it, EastEnders. Give us it. Right, I think, unless you can think of anything else, that's the week in Walford, Ben.
Busy week it's been.
I think we did all right there. That could have gone horrifically wrong with me in charge, but I think it did all right.
They're all good.
So we shall finish this week's episode off with some comments from our listeners in I Ain't One to Gossip.
You know me, I ain't one to gossip.
So this week on I Ain't One to Gossip, we've got some comments from our lovely listeners. Donna Duffy says, can't really wrap my head around Sonia going off to India when she just went crazy about people being selfish during the pandemic. Surely she wouldn't be able to just take time off if she's working in a hospital. I mean, yeah.
You think that, wouldn't you?
You'd think. But you know what? Sonia is her own woman. So, I mean,
when Robbie Jackson calls, you don't say no.
Exactly. I mean, what can you do though? To be fair, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's complete. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense, but at the same time, it's like, what can they do? Like, you've got to say, if you've got to send these characters off to breaks, you may as well do it completely illegally.
They can't go to Ireland for Doc, can they?
No, they can't go to Skeg for a holiday. The weather for Skeg. Stephen Caboo Brody said, it felt very much like a natural conclusion of D.I. Gaffney and Callum interacting. After that episode, I think it wouldn't feel like a stretch or contrived for Callum to leave the force very soon. I kind of agree, because it's like, what is Callum's... It's like, what is Callum's role as a policeman going to entail? Because I've said this week after week after week. All I ever wanted from Callum being a policeman was for him to be forced to arrest Ben at some point. I thought that would be a really nice sort of character story point, where Callum's got to basically face the option of either arresting Ben or breaking up with Ben, because Ben's an arse who wouldn't allow his boyfriend to arrest him. You know, I think that's a natural place to take the story, but they just don't seem to be going there. You know when that's going to happen,
don't you?
His wedding?
The wedding.
Oh, God.
At the altar.
You're absolutely right. And then Callum will get shot and it'll all be tragic. And yeah, probably. I mean, Alex has been quite vocal about his views on the police story. Are you the same? Do you still think it's...
Yeah, it's just silly. Like, how quick he became a policeman even is just ridiculous. But yeah, it doesn't suit his character. He'd be much better as a therapist or, I don't know, chef. Literally anything.
A chef.
A chef. He used to be a chef in the army. He can be a chef again.
Oh, he did. Yeah, that's right. Or basically Bobby's counsellor. You know,
a counsellor, really. Or work with people who've gone through trauma or something. He's kind, isn't he? He's kind-hearted.
The thing is, he's not that confrontational, is he?
No.
So I feel like you've got to have a certain degree of confrontation about you to be a copper. Like, Ben would probably be a better copper than Callum would.
And the whole reason he worked in the funeral parlour was because he was really good with talking to that couple and being understanding and nice. So he's a nice guy, Callum. That's what people liked about him originally. Being a cop doesn't suit him. Yeah, he's not cut out for it.
The uniform does sort of suit him. I'll give him that. But that's about it. That's about it. And then, Ben, tell you what, I got an email as well on my personal email thing that I've got for Walford Weekly. I got an email from Alison Lecalzi. Okay. Now, me and Alex were having a conversation last week about the New Year's Eve episode. Alex was saying that he thought that we should have seen Joe, the guy on the phone, and I didn't agree, and we thought that was kind of be it. But no, Alison has thoughts. Hi Rob, just listened to the latest podcast episode and want to say you are dead on about the call between Mick and Joe. Showing Joe would have lessened the impact of the call. The call was about Mick, not Joe. The actor playing Joe did a fantastic job, and we were right there with Mick in his position, waiting to hear Joe's voice on the other end. And then she goes on to say Kevin Rundle is fantastic, the writer that I was on about and going mad about. Yeah. Alison has actually posted about him on Reddit. She is Alison E. Historian on Reddit. For all sorts of EastEnders.
Alison.
Oh, there you go then.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. Hi, Alison.
All of his episodes have been outstanding, and his writing shows an understanding of the characters and a talent for believable dialogue. She finishes this delightful email. We're glad to have you on the podcast, Rob. Oh. But then says, tell Alex I'm with him on Jack and Denise. So, there you go. And that was from Alison.
I mean, I agree with what you said about not seeing Joe. I think the whole point, that's why he was called Joe as well. I think, like, he's any old Joe.
Might as well have called him John Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was intentional, and yeah, I agree. It was about Mick, and the Samaritans is about talking to someone who you don't know, because it's sometimes
faceless.
Easier to open up to someone you don't know. So I agree.
Yeah, and it's always nice to be told that Alex is wrong and I'm right.
Yeah.
You know,
boo Alex.
Exact boo. So there we go. Ben, thank you very, very much for stepping in.
That's all right.
Well, Alex is busy saving the world and being a key worker and all of that sort of thing. I'm very grateful. Did you enjoy yourself? Was it nice to be back?
Yeah, very good. It's nice. I've been poisoning Alex slowly, so you may see me more.
With bipolar medication.
With any pills I can get my hands off. No, it was fun to be back every now and then. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Make guest appearances. The ratings will shoot up every time as soon as word goes around.
Yeah, or plummet.
Or plummet, either way. You can contact us on Twitter and Instagram at Walford Weekly. Find us on Facebook and Instagram at Walford Weekly Podcast. On YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to get notifications about our spoiler videos presented by the lovely Ben. And you can also listen to us on Apple, Podbean, Spotify, or any of your favourite podcast sites. I have an email address at robwalfordweekly@gmail.com, as Alison messaged me, or you can contact Alex at alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com. We will be back next week. Be safe, be kind, have a lovely week, everybody, and it's goodbye from me and goodbye from Ben.
Yes, goodbye, everyone.
Bye.